I'm Tracy Novick, and this is the Snow Ghost Community Show.
First, there was a snow ghost on top of a silver mountain. Now that ghost is your community host. A snow ghost wants to get the most out of you, 'cause a better world begins with you.
I am a volunteer conservation ranger with the Greater Worcester Land Trust, and this is Cascading Waters.
Hi, I'm Shelley Williamson from Pleasant Street Baptist Church in Worcester.
And who is this here hosting the show?
This is Bruce Russell.
Where are we, Bruce?
Cascade Falls.
Try it again. Put it closer to your mouth.
Cascade Falls, and it's not my fault.
Okay, so right now what we're doing is we're standing on Olean Street. So if you're familiar with Tatnick Square, Olean Street runs from Tatnick Square out to the Worcester Reservoirs and eventually out to Route 31 in Holden. If you look right over here, this is a giant sign we've put up. Cascading Waters was actually purchased by the Land Trust intentionally to give the city of Worcester an entryway to the 400 acres of woodland that are up in the neighborhoods behind me. That previous to this, the neighborhoods all knew that the land was there, but everyone else in the city of Worcester didn't have any way of accessing it. So Cascading Waters is about 2.5 acres of woodland. It contains in its entirety Cascade Brook from Cook's Pond, which is across Olean Street from us, all the way up to the Cascade Falls, which is why Cascade Park, where it gets its name, and why it was preserved. So you can park down here at the where it says trailhead parking. You're free to park there. It's public parking. Lest you be deceived, the gravel is not the trail. The gravel is the driveway. It will get you no place other than the lodge. The blue dots get you on the trails. And of course we have a bike rack here for those who use alternative modes of transportation. Oh, actually, let me show you the fun new feature that we've recently got, which we're kind of excited about. We have a number of interns who work with the Greater Worcester Land Trust from the local colleges. And we had one who came up to us in great excitement. Come on down this way. And wanted to know if he could do something with water. And of course we have plenty of water here. We've had a good wet fall. And if you look down here, you'll see we've actually put in a stream gauge. We're doing daily measurements on how... So you're going to need to take this back. He's going to lose it. On how deep the water is. We actually put a number of pieces of information on our Lodge Log website. And one of them is now a stream measurement. We have an intern who comes in from Clark University, and they're doing measurements of flow rates. They're going to be able to do measurements of water volume, water capacity, and in the spring they're actually going to be looking at invertebrate levels and all kinds of other things. It goes up and down pretty fast because the brook actually drains 400 acres of woodland. We actually get within a couple of hours all that water down here. At the top of the hill there's actually a giant sort of wetland that it all comes through, and it goes up and down pretty fast here. But then of course it goes underneath the road and goes out into Cook's Pond. Among the things that we post on the Lodge Log every day are the temperature, the barometer readings, the humidity, and then we give them any sort of trail information that we can. We have walkers who come through every day with their dogs. We have people who come through every day on a hike. We have, in the summertime, we have camps come up through here. Girls Inc. is just down the street at Camp Kennywood, and they regularly drag hundreds of people through.
What kind of trees are there through here?
Oh, goodness. Right through here, we have a lot of red maple. Something that's, I guess, a little bit interesting. The lodge that the Land Trust owns here that we live in is built on piers because there is no drainage capacity basically on this property. It's directly built on ledge. So any water that comes down off of the hill doesn't really have any place to go underground. It's all rock. So all of the water comes straight down the hill, which means that basically what you're standing in is not much more than swamp. So it's some red maple, we've got a little shagbark hickory, but all of a few oaks, but pretty much all of the trees that are through here are swamp trees. That's why there aren't a lot of evergreens. Those that are here were mostly planted. Down here, we haven't been able to get a lot of information about the property. If you go far enough back, this was actually part of the property that was owned by Abby Kelly Foster and Stephen Foster as part of Liberty Farm. Since then, much of the area around here was summer houses. People who lived in downtown Worcester would take the streetcar out for the summer and spend their summer on the brook. Sometime during that time, if you look down here, there was a spring house that they presumably used for keeping things cold.
Oh, that's this.
That's the little foundation that's down there. Now it's post-cement, but still built out of rocks, right down there at the edge of the brook. Well, we don't have flow year-round. We do have flow as soon as there's any kind of water that's going through. I guess the only other thing that I should mention while we're standing down here is you see that we've got some pretty nasty-looking trees. I should point out that two things. First of all, we don't have Asian longhorn beetle on this side of the city. And secondly, that we do intentionally leave dead trees standing and also fallen because they provide great wildlife habitat. The birds love it. It's great for bugs, and that's why there's dead trees on the property.
The pond over there?
Yes.
This runs into the pond over there?
It does run into the pond over
I
there.
didn't realize there's a pond over there until just now.
It's among Worcester's mill ponds. It was originally built, there's a dam sort of right down the street a little bit, and then there's another dam before Tatnick Square.
Oh, okay.
And so really, they're all unnatural ponds. Most ponds in Massachusetts are in one way or another. So there were a couple of mills down in Tatnick Square originally, and that's why the dams are there. And that's why we have a pond there.
Ah, good reason.
And we're downstream from the Worcester Reservoir, so they don't tend to care much about us, although we do get overflow from them when they have it.
Has there ever been a problem with flooding up here?
Yes. Funny you should ask. We've actually had to, we evacuated the lodge once, the first fall we were here, which was October of 2002. We had about 4 inches of water that were running underneath the house. And there was some concern as to whether or not it was still rising, and it was, but it never actually got into the house. We had the fire trucks come. It was very exciting. It was last spring we also had water coming under the house. Now, interestingly enough, of course, when you have a waterfall, which you can just sort of start to see through the trees here, that's that big behind your house, everyone assumes that that's where the water is going to come from that's going to flood you out. It's actually not the problem. That stream is very well channelized. It's well taken care of. We haven't had a problem with that overflowing. However, just down the street, a little bit farther over, there's a very small stream that comes down out of the park and goes underneath the road that has a culvert that tends to get blocked. And when it does, it runs right across Cataract Street and runs underneath our house and down our driveway and across the street, which is very dramatic, but, well, it makes us glad we don't have a basement.
I take it that's happened before.
It has happened before, and that's why they built the house on piers. So they were smart to have done that. We don't have a basement. Makes it chilly in the wintertime.
That appears to be. That appears to be.
Yes.
That appears to be.
It appears to be. So as you're coming up through here, this is all still the Cascade Trail. And the Cascade Trail conveniently actually makes a loop. It comes up from Olean Street, goes up across Cataract, goes up into the park, and then comes back down on Olean Street, where Cataract Street, which eventually just becomes a dirt path, runs out. So if you're not looking for a very long hike, it's a very easy loop to make. The other thing that this does, which I'm sure that Mike, being the techno wizard that he is, will probably link you up with trail maps, is this gives us a good entryway into the park. Cascade Park is part of a park system of over 400 acres, and the Cascade Trail will hook you up into the Newton Trail, to the Silver Spring Trail, which eventually gets you over to Boynton Park, which gets you up actually into Paxton. So we're very pleased with our bridge. It's back from when they used to spend money not just on making bridges strong, but also making them look pretty. This is Cataract Street, which deceivingly on the map shows up as a through street, but actually you can't drive all the way through. It's also referred to as the Holden Trail on Greater Worcester Land Trust maps. And that, yes?
If at least I know where to go and I need to get some cataract done right here on the street.
Oh, not that kind of cataract. Although if you're looking to drive here, the other thing you should know is that while these are the Cascades, you cannot get here from Cascade Street. Cascade Street's a dead end. So these are the Cascades. We were very, very glad because they actually were flowing this year when the freeze came in. If they're not flowing when the freeze comes in, otherwise it's just a pile of rocks. It is very pretty. So what you've got here is 400 acres of woodland draining down about 100 vertical feet of rocks. It's a good place to exhaust your children. There is a trail. The Cascade Trail does two things here. It runs directly up parallel to the Cascade, or it takes a switchback loop and goes up, comes farther over, and eventually ends up at the top of the hill. And this is why the land was preserved, and this is where it gets its name from. About 24 hours after any major rainstorm, this starts to roar. Depending on how it's roaring, we can actually hear it in the house with the doors and windows shut. And you will, people who live in the neighborhood or who grew up in Worcester and are familiar with it do tend to make a habit of showing up here about 24 hours after a major rainstorm.
Back when during the summer when we had all that torrential rain, these waterfalls must be really roaring then.
They do. They do. Yeah, they're very impressive.
There come off when it comes down from up there. Does there come up some part where it's heavy enough where it actually goes over here and runs over the top?
It hasn't since we've been here. They've built the stream. In fact, if you look over on the other side, they've channelized the stream deep enough to provide for probably at least the 100-year flood. We'll see.
What kinds of birds and animals have you seen around here that people might find surprising?
Surprising.
Probably any bird or animal.
Well, okay, I was going to say surprising. Okay, because I was going to say when we get nuthatches and chickadees, and right now I've got nuthatches that are trying to get into my house. I'm not really sure why. Yeah, we've got bird feeders out right now. So we've got cardinals, nuthatches, chickadees, woodpeckers.
The snow ghost.
The snow ghost. You're not going to eat from a bird feeder, are you? Squirrels, chipmunks. Lately, we've had almost sort of a seemingly wildlife invasion that people are actually seeing things. Not that they're not usually here. We had a neighbor down the street who said that he saw a fox a couple nights ago. We know they're around. We don't often see them. My husband was coming home late one night last week and saw 4 deer down on Olean Street right at the end of the trail. The thing that's interesting about trails is when people aren't on them, they're actually used by wildlife. So we know that the deer use the trail system. We know that the coyotes use the trail system. Over the summer, there was a coyote that was out in front of our house that was chasing a baby raccoon, which had taken...
Wow.
It somehow had gotten separated from its mom, we assume, and was crying under our house. We eventually scared the coyote away inadvertently by opening up the window, and then it was reunited with its mother. It was kind of like the wild kingdom out here.
I think Bruce has a question.
Yes, Bruce.
I mean, last October, not just past October, but October 2007, Mike and I walked up through here, and the creek, the waterfall was pretty dried up, and once we got up at the top and it was coming down to get right across the road, I actually fell down, kind of rolled myself down the hill, and I said, at least I know I actually fell for it.
I don't really know where to go from there. Last time Mike was here, he actually flushed a wild turkey, which is the first time we'd seen one on the property, although we also know that they're around.
You flushed a turkey, Mike?
He flushed a turkey. In the hunting sense, one might say.
It didn't involve plumbing.
It didn't involve plumbing at all,
Well,
which is good.
Mike, did you actually flush a turkey? Otherwise, you do go to the bathroom and push down the lever? They're flushing them out that way. We are here to talk with Shelley Williamson about her experiences and adventure of going to Poland and what was it like there.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce.
Oh, you're welcome.
I did go to Poland June 26th through into July. I spent July 4th there in Poland. I got to go on a mission trip. A church down in Virginia paid for my ticket, and so I hopped on a plane to go there, and leaving my husband and 3 children and a new foster baby at home. Went there. One of the interesting things that happened when I actually arrived at the ticket desk in Boston was they offered me €700 to go a total different direction and get there 12 hours later. But unfortunately, I was meeting team members in Germany, so I wasn't able to take that up, and I've always wanted to see Rome and did not have the opportunity to do that. But I met up with them in Germany, and we went on to Wrocław, Poland, where we ministered to missionaries and their kids. We ended up heading up into the mountains in Jugovice, Poland, and that's where all the missionaries from the Czech Republic and Poland met for their annual conference. And our job, I met up with this other team, the other group from Virginia, and our job was to minister to the kids. And the kids were awesome. We thought we'd have to have all these activities and all these games and, keep them busy. But for them, it was a family reunion. They get together once a year, and they're away from their families in the United States. Some of them came from our missionaries from Germany who are in the Czech Republic. Some of them are missionaries from Australia who are ministering in Poland, and quite a lot in the United States. And so it was a lot of fun for me. Just mainly the kids had a ball getting together. It was interesting. They were talking to each other in English, but some of them German was their first language, and so they were commenting on how good he got to speak. He was speaking English now, because last year he couldn't speak it very well, and so it was interesting to meet people from all over the world who had gathered together to minister. I got to minister to them. One of the highlights, I guess, was we packed our suitcases full of marshmallows, chocolate bars, and graham crackers, and we all know what those make if you have a little fire, is s'mores. And a lot of them had not had marshmallows since they'd left from the United States, because there they cost $5 to $10 a bag, and so that's a real luxury versus 99 cents when we go to the store. So we had a great bonfire with them and treated them to s'mores and Oreo cookies. Those were like gold. We can just go down and buy them, no problem, but that was a big deal for them. So Oreo cookies and American candies. And one of the things that we got to do is Bible studies with the children. Actually I worked with the teenagers, and a lot of them were going off to college soon in the United States, and they had not been to the United States back here, home supposedly, for over 4 years. And they wanted to know, we wanted to know their culture that they're living in, but they really wanted to know our culture, the culture that they'll be coming back to. So here they hadn't been back to the United States since they were 13 or 14, and now they're almost 18 going off to college, leaving their families there in Poland. And so they wanted to know what they were going to be experiencing when they came back to the United States. So that was an interesting thing to be able to share with them. Some other fun things, we got to go to a castle while I was there, so that was a lot of fun, as we had day trips, and got to go to a church service, and it's interesting with the mission group that they're with is Send International, and they try and find local people who've accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, and grow them up so that they can be pastors of the churches. So they're not missionaries coming in and starting churches. They're leading people to the Lord and then raising them up as leaders so that they can reach others around them. And one of the things I found interesting in Poland, they had only been freed from communism in 1989, and yet their economy was booming. We went to a mall and they had no trouble spending money, and beautiful people walking through the squares. The government is trying to redo a lot of the buildings that were just destroyed and not taking.
Germany or Austria? Or
Pardon?
Didn't they break from Germany or Austria?
That's right. They had been under communist rule, and it's interesting you ask that too, because they had been under Russian rule, and all around them people had constantly invaded them, and other countries got sucked into them and taken over by them, and they lost their identity. But Poland never lost their identity. The Polish people were always Polish. They were from Poland, and the Catholic Church is what kept them Polish, because all around them was all different other religions, But they were Polish. They were Catholic, Polish Catholics, and so that's what kept their identity and kept their country a country, especially in the free world now.
Yeah,
So it's
during the invasion with Germany and Austria, and it was interesting because I was watching. I forget that movie with Mary.
Sound of Music.
Sound of Music, and saw like German flag, and this is like Austria, and there was this German that had ruled Austria around that same time.
Yep, that's right, during World War II. Yep. Yep. And one of the interesting things too in Poland were all the flowers. They had flower stands. The restaurants had flowers all around them. Just flowers everywhere in the window boxes, and these communist built ugly buildings. People were hanging window boxes with cascading flowers over the edge, and they were painting their buildings instead of that gray drab communist colors. They were painting them pinks and blues and yellows, and they had really blossomed into in their life. And so it was an interesting, unexpected thing that was just, it was a blessing to me. I went there to go minister to the people, but as always, the people ended up ministering to me.
Did you actually go inside the castle, or
Yeah.
what was it like inside?
Well, the castle, since they didn't have a national trust, like I've been to England, and the castles are beautiful and well kept, and they have furnishings,
In
Ireland as well. That's right. But in Poland, they didn't keep, the communist government did not care to keep up the Polish heritage, so they left them into ruins. So we just went to a castle that was built and added onto during, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So it was pretty much in ruins, but it was just fascinating to see their history.
Did you go into the coffee shops when you was in cafe shops there, or at all, or?
Yeah, we sat outside because it was summer. We sat outside and had coffee quite frequently, especially in the square. They had a beautiful square with big buildings all around, and like the church was at the center with a big clock and a bell, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful, as well as the people. The people were beautiful. You could tell we were Americans because we were wearing our tennis shoes, and we were wearing like jeans and shirts and things like that. But they.
Hats.
Yeah, oh, I don't know about that. But the people there dressed nicely. The girls were wearing dresses and skirts and colors, and the men were dressed nicely, and they always had their leather type shoes or sandals on, and here us Americans would come tromping in with our tennis shoes. It was interesting.
Go to the Czech Republic at all, or?
I didn't get to go to the Czech Republic. Some of the people stayed longer than I did, and they traveled all throughout Poland. They spent about 2 months or so there, traveling around in Poland and Czech Republic. We mainly did Bible studies with the children of the missionaries. That was our goal. So that's what we did. But we didn't do it with the Polish people. We just went out and just hung out with them and did some great people watching.
Cool. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Last I knew about the Cascade Falls, at least I know I didn't get to fall down this time, so it's not my fault.
First, there was a snow ghost on top of a silver mountain. Now that ghost is your community host. A snow ghost wants to get the most out of you. 'Cause a better world begins with you.